We live in a time like no other. Maybe you don't stop your busy life to think about it, but that doesn't make it untrue. In a world that is becoming more chaotic and confusing day by day, don't we need something that helps us make sense of it all? Something that helps us navigate the turmoil? Something that provides clarity and instills hope? We are here to do just that. Let's explore why and how on this episode of the Field Journal Podcast.
Navigate these uncharted times of chaos and confusion with the Field Journal Podcast, where each episode we decipher the events unfolding all around us with the steadfast truth of the kingdom story. Together, we'll focus on developing an eternal perspective so we can have peace and hope despite our circumstances. Now here's your guide, Kirk Buckner.
Welcome to the Field Journal Podcast. You are here. Thank you for joining me. However you got here, whether it was by a topical search or scrolling for something interesting, or someone recommended this podcast to you, I appreciate you investing your time. Now let's get to the heart of the matter because I value your time. What is the Field Journal Podcast? A field journal is a type of journal or notebook that is used by researchers, scientists, and explorers to document their observations and record their data and experiences while working in the field. Some examples are, in ethology, you might study the hunting strategies of the lioness, and you would go to the jungle to observe those behaviors. In sociology, you might study human interaction and normative social behaviors, and you would have to go out into the world to observe people. Well, what do? They record it in some way, either in a notebook, on paper, or digitally. They review that information and analyze it. They would draw conclusions from it and then apply it. That's what we're doing with the Field Journal Podcast. We record observations and share insight on what's unfolding all around us. Our field is the world. Well, what are we observing? You might have heard this in the podcast trailer. A world that grows more confusing by the day, where truth takes a back seat to agendas and popular opinion, where it's getting harder to tell what's real and what's not. This is the world we live in. And it probably says something about you. You may be a watcher. You may be watching these things. You're searching for like-mindedness. I want to welcome you if that's you. You may be curious. You're curious but unsure. Something tugs in your heart. You feel like something's not quite right, but you can't put your finger on it. If that's you, I welcome you as well. And even if you're a skeptic, if you're not sure why you're here, but I want to welcome you as well, and I hope you'll stick around and listen. Let me convey the reason why I think we need the Field Journal Podcast. We live in a time like no other. Historically, there's been chaos, wars and natural disasters and evil, people behaving badly. And historically, there's been confusion. There's always been misinformation and disinformation and propaganda. It's easy to go back and look at that. But I want to point out there's two unprecedented occurrences in this generation. The first is really easy. It's the COVID pandemic. We lived through something that has never affected the world like anything else. It literally stopped how the world works for a period of time. The second thing is artificial intelligence. It's unprecedented, what it's going to do, what it's doing already. Some think it's just a new industrial revolution, but it'll be more than that. It has the ability to cause more confusion and chaos worldwide than anything, any technology that's ever existed. And those two things are in the same generation. We're experiencing both of those things in the same time frame. And there's plenty more examples of things that are chaotic and confusing, and we'll go into some of those as we go through future episodes. But I want to make this statement, this hard truth, that we're moving toward a greater state of chaos and confusion. We don't want to hear this, but it's true. I'm not sure how we can argue with it when we see and really examine all the evidence. The truth is, most of us don't want to examine the evidence. We don't want to know that the world is moving toward a greater state of chaos and confusion. Why? Because it causes anxiety and depression, or both. The normal operation for most Americans is to stay busy and distracted. We have jobs and bills to pay and kids to raise and lifestyles to support. I think our mindset is if we can take care of ourselves in our own household, we can make it through the bad times and life will just correct itself automatically. Well, let me make this bold statement to you. No amount of hiding in our ridiculously busy lives is going to make the chaos and confusion go away or solve the problems we face. Let me say it again. No amount of hiding in our ridiculously busy lives is going to make the chaos and confusion go away or solve the problems we face. The problem is if we start to pay attention to what's going on in the world, our options are limited and seem ineffective to resolve the problems we face. Economic prosperity, we believe if we can just achieve enough, if we can have the right lifestyle enough and have enough of the things and entertainment, that it'll be okay. Well, what about another solve, like an election? We have one upcoming at the recording of this episode. We think better government is the solution. What about elimination of wrong thinking? Can we convince the other guy, the one we disagree with, to think like we think? If we could just do that, it might be the solve. Or how about just get rid of those people altogether? That should be the solve. We know none of these are good options. My appeal to you is let's start working through this chaos and confusion now. Not to introduce anxiety or depression, but to build hope. You see, my prediction is there will be something that disrupts our ridiculously busy lives and causes us to evaluate what's going on in the world, what is going on in our lives. The COVID pandemic proved this. So we know it's a possibility. Now, I'm not saying another pandemic is on the horizon. It could be. But I think there's a high probability of another global event that disrupts life. And maybe it's already occurred by the time you have found this podcast. Or maybe you've had a personal disruption that's occurred in your life. Maybe you've had job loss or sickness or a death in the family. And it positions you to try to make sense of your life, to make sense of the world. This is why the Field Journal podcast exists. The Field Journal podcast exists to provide perspective in the face of chaos and a hope and a plan for the future, a tangible benefit. This is not analyzing the breaking news of the day, but we'll do that on occasion. It's not a political show, but we'll talk about politics on occasion. It's not a conspiracy show, but we may discuss conspiracies. It's not a prepper show in the traditional sense where we're talking about rations and ammunitions, bunkers and bug-out bags. It is a prepper show in the idea that we're preparing for the time ahead, the time we live in now, mentally, spiritually, building hope for the future, a providing of clarity to what we see going on. My goal is to provide value. It's missional. It's an assignment. It comes from an honest desire to help. Now, there is a secret sauce to this. There is a lens and a perspective. We're going to unpack that in upcoming episodes. But the question you may be asking is, what qualifies me to guide this Field Journal podcast? Maybe you're looking for degrees or certifications, something in anthropology, sociology, for example. The reality is I have a master's in speech communication. I'm a certified human behavior consultant. I understand how people communicate, and I've been trained in to observe how people behave. And so that might be a credential that you would say, I'm qualified. I think more importantly, I'm a lifelong learner. I study things. I've spent my entire career in training and development, vocational education, digital learning. I've been a company employee. I've been an entrepreneur, owned my own businesses. I've also been in pastoral ministry for 10 years. So I have these perspectives, these things that I've seen and done. I've been successful. I've made plenty of mistakes. Some of the best credentials are the things you learn the hard way. Now, all these things are valuable, but you may be asking a different question at the end of the day. I think the question you're really asking yourself is, how do I make sure this guy is not flat out crazy and speaking nonsense that wastes my time? I get it. I would ask the exact same thing. Well, let me make this appeal to you. I want you to check out the first 5 episodes of this podcast. They're short. They're going to be less than 30 minutes in duration. It'll cost you less than 2 hours of your time. And if you don't want to continue, then don't. You can walk away with a small amount of time wasted, and you can look for another source that might help you figure out what's going on in the world, or just go back to ignoring it, not really evaluating it, or just with your own understanding, navigating through it. But let me say this to you. If you do go away, you're always welcome back. If something happens in your life and you want to reevaluate again, just remember this and pick it back up. So let me do a couple of things as we wrap up this short episode on things you can expect. One, you can expect shorter episodes, 30 minutes or less, and these things should be relevant to what is happening in the world and to you and to your world. It's going to be a perspective or a lens that is simple to understand but profound in its application. There'll be analysis that challenges you and prompts you to evaluate your understanding of how you see things, of how you see the world, of what you understand. And my commitment is to help you prepare for a time like no other. Because I honestly believe we lived in a time like no other, and we're going into a time that's unprecedented in human history. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to lay out a truth that studies of the human brain reveal that you've likely never heard before. And the profound effect it has will be amazing on how we see the world. I hope you'll tune in for the next episode. Now, as we wrap up this one, always want to leave you with something to think about, meditate on, or pray about if you're a praying person. This is a good exercise to challenge your heart and your mind and move you out of a distracted world and prompt you to process something you might normally not think about. You ready? Here we go. Why do you love a good story? What is your favorite story? Maybe you have more than one. Maybe it's a book you've read. Maybe it's a book you've read that's been made into a movie. Maybe it's one of those movies where if you're sitting around on a Saturday afternoon with little to do and it comes on TV, you stop and watch it. I have some of those. I probably have a handful of them. And I've probably watched some movies 50 times over the course of my life because I like them so much and something resonates with me in that story. So I ask you, what resonates with the stories you love so much? Think about it. Ponder it. Give it some thought. Until next time, thank you for joining the Field Journal Podcast.
Thank you for being a part of this episode of the Field Journal Podcast, a production of Truth of the Kingdom. And while we've reached the end of our journey today, the conversation continues at truthofthekingdom.com. Until next time, may the kingdom story be your source of truth and hope, no matter what's happening around you.